Hello everyone. So today we will be discussing attitude in organization behavior which affects the individual behavior. First of all, the learning objectives of this topic: to understand the concept of attitude, to identify the components, to discuss the factors affecting attitude, to understand how attitude is formed, to analyze the different job related attitudes. The concept of attitude. So let us understand what is attitude. So here you can see in this picture that your attitude is in charge of your destiny. And what all comes down from this? Self-respect, confidence, hope, determination, naturalness, happiness. So all these things are related to attitude. So the definition says an attitude is a mode of behavior that is often thought to be a typical relation of an individual. Attitude is linked with personality and is frequently used to explain a pattern of behavior or a response in a given situation. Attitudes tend to be judgmental and can be positive or negative. If an attitude is based on inaccurate information or is unfair, it becomes a prejudice. So now we'll be discussing some key definitions which can explain the attitude in its term and spirit. So according to Gordon Allport, an attitude is a mental and neural state of readiness organized through experience, exerting a directive or dynamic influence upon the individual's response to all objects and situations with which it is related. So similarly, Milton Rokesh says, an attitude is a relatively enduring organization of beliefs around an object or situation predisposing one to respond in some preferential manner. So based on these definitions, we can figure out that attitude is the manner, disposition, feeling and position about a person or thing, tendency or orientation, especially in an individual's mind. So here are some of the characteristics of attitude, and these characteristics are like attitudes are the complex combination of things, that is personality, beliefs, values, behaviors and motivations. It can fall anywhere along a continuum from very favorable to very unfavorable. All people, irrespective of their status or intelligence, hold attitudes. Attitude helps us define how we see situations and define how we behave towards the situation or object. It provides us with internal cognitions, beliefs, and thoughts about people and objects. It can also be explicit and implicit. Then there are three defining components of attitude on which the attitude is formed and based. So this is known as the triadic model, and these three components are the cognitive component. So this aspect of attitude reflects beliefs and knowledge. That is, what if you believe that fitness training 3 times a week enhances the quality of life, and you have the knowledge to support this opinion. So that is cognitive component. So basically cognitive component is related to intelligence or intellectuality. The affective component, this is also known as emotional component. It consists of feelings of an emotional response towards an attitude or object. That is, training is enjoyable and I feel good when participating. So in relation to the first analogy which we have taken. And the third component is the behavioral component. So this concerns how a person intends to behave towards an attitude, uh, towards an object. So if we were discussing about the fitness training, so that says joining a fitness club to follow an organized fitness program. So means whatever knowledge you have, how emotionally you are connecting with that, and now how you will bring it into action, and what is the behavioral approach to achieve would be. So here in this picture you can see that cognitive is based on mind and affective is related to emotions and behavioral is putting it into actions. Then there are certain factors which influence an individual's attitude, and these factors are social factors, direct instruction, family, prejudices, personal experiences, media, educational and religious institutions, physical factors, economic status and occupations. So if we observe ourselves, we can see that how social factors affect our attitude. We may have certain thought process, but then looking into our social circles, we may tend to change those perspectives, those behavioral responses. The way we are brought up in our family definitely affects our attitudes and prejudices. Like if prejudice, we can say that females cannot drive a truck. So this can be one of the prejudice, but attitudes are changed when you can see the females have already started doing this, and when the number of females will do that, then definitely this prejudice attitude will change. Then we have our own personal experiences which we have experienced on our in our lives, and which we had actually prepared through our family upbringing, but then through our own personal experiences we tend to change. Then media at times really enforces certain things, it reinforces things again and again, and that also forms influences our attitudes. So based on these factors, if we know, attitudes reflect more than just positive or negative evaluations. They include other characteristics such as importance, certainty, accessibility and associated knowledge. Attitudes are important in the study of social psychology because they influence the amount of attention and the type of judgment an individual may give to a specific subject. So coming on to attitude formation, attitudes are basically formed mainly through experience. So we have already discussed there are certain factors, but when we talk about attitude formation, so it happens through our own personal experiences. So a pleasant experience will usually lead to a positive attitude, and an unpleasant experience like failure, criticism or injury would bring about a negative attitude unless you take it as a challenge or an opportunity. But generally if we talk about, so this is how the pleasant or unpleasant experiences form our attitudes. So then if we have already discussed the factors how they form attitude, so feedback can reinforce our attitudes, and false perceptions can also create or form our attitude. How can we change the attitudes? So there are certain theories which explain the that how through these theories, through practicing these ways we can change the attitude. And the first one is cognitive dissonance theory given by Fastinger. So what is this theory? This theory suggests that if a person holds two ideas that conflict with each other, an element of discomfort or dissonance, which is known as emotional conflict, that occurs. Means if a player wishes to perform to a high standard but does not want to dedicate more time to sport, or we can say that does not want to wake up at 4 a.m. and practice. So these two are conflicting attitudes, but it can, you have to choose any one out of them. So to reduce the dissonance, one of the conflicting ideas must be lessened. And how we can do that? Again through cognitive, affective and behavioral component. So through cognitive we can provide new information to dispel old thoughts. It can be related to, like now because I may be I am late in my lifespan and I am focusing towards building my career, so I think I should focus more on my career or my professional aspects instead of performing to the highest standard in this sport. Or I have to perform to the highest standard in this sport, and I know there are a lot of other ways that through that I can practice to the maximum in a smaller duration of time also. So any one information, any one conflicting idea has to be lessened. Then through affective component, it can be changed by giving a different experience which might be more positive, that is praise plus feedback, and challenging targets and enjoyable activities. So practically, if we can see, there are a lot of examples in real life that who have achieved their goal or their target in a smaller span of time through their dedicated and multi-relational efforts. So through those examples, through those knowledge or experience, we can appreciate our own effort, we can give feedback, and we can challenge more ourselves for, and we can enjoy in those activities. Then behavioral, we can ensure that skills are simplified to increase chances of success, or it can be through reinforcement. So basically cognitive dissonance theory says that individuals generally have two conflicting ideas, and we have to lessen one of the conflicting ideas so that another can be achieved, because both cannot be achieved if they are poles apart. Then there is persuasive communication theory. This theory says that persuading an individual to change or altering their beliefs, attitudes and behavior towards something will depend on the following aspects. And what are those aspects? First is the persuader. So who is a persuader? A person needs to be one who is perceived to be significant and to have high status. So if because we are taking that one example of fitness or training, so the instructor who is experienced and who has achieved and accomplished certain challenging targets can certainly be the persuader. So the persuader need to be strong, who can really be perceived of a high status in the person who wants to change. Then the message. This needs to be presented in a way that makes the recipient who want to change the attitude. Like, this rock face can be climbed, this is the best route, but take it slowly. So if the persuader is strong and the persuader is giving very clear message, encouraging message, then certainly it will help the person to be able to change one's attitude. Then the third is the recipient. So the attitude is more easily changed if the recipient really wishes to be changed. So there is very important one factor which we can say that that is related to our inner self, that intent. So the word which says really wishes. So if the recipient who really intends to change the attitude would take the message honestly and genuinely, so the student understands the task. So there are many students who say that we could not do that because we did not get this, or we were not able to do this or that. So basically somewhere the difference in the performance comes due to the intentions to perform. And the last one is the situation. Attitudes are easier to change if there are other persuaders present. So for example, other students have already climbed the rock face and are actively encouraging. So they will say, please do it. I have also done it. If I can do, why not you? So these kind of things are also there. And maybe again it depends on the individual. If the individual loves to take challenging tasks, so if the other are not there, then also they will be able to accomplish that. So basically persuasive communication theory says that the individual who wants to change or alter the beliefs or attitudes or behavior needs to be persuaded continuously, so that that change takes place. Then there are different types of job related attitudes. where we really it affects our individual behavior in the organization, where it affects our performances as well. So the first one is job satisfaction. So what is job satisfaction? Job satisfaction is the feeling and perception of a worker regarding his or her work and how he or she feels well in an organization. It also indicates the extent of employees' positive or negative feelings towards their jobs and organizational behavior tried to improve it. Now, why we are focusing so much on job satisfaction? Because in motivation also we will study that there are different theories. Motivation is basically focusing towards leading to rewarding and at the end individual employees achieving job satisfaction. So why are we so much concerned about job satisfaction? Because higher job satisfaction provides higher productivity, less employee turnover, reduced absenteeism, reduces the level of unionization, reduces the number of accidents. It helps to create a better working environment, improving customer satisfaction, and lastly faster and sustainable growth. And if lower the job satisfaction or job dissatisfaction is there, then you can just imagine all the opposite of the same will happen. Less productivity, high employee turnover, high absenteeism, high level of unionization, gossiping and disturbing others, higher the number of accidents because you are not satisfied, so you are not focusing on your work so much, and so on. So that is why this job related attitude is very significant. And if you will see, a lot of researches has happened on job satisfaction in different sectors at different levels all over the world. Then the another job related attitude is job involvement. So job involvement refers to how closely an individual is linked with his or her job, how actively he or she engages in it, and understanding how essential his or her performance is to one's self-worth. So basically in job involvement, the individual needs to know, identify, and this is kind of introspection of self-assessment. So the individual himself or herself need to understand one's own self-worth in terms of how important or significant the role and performance of that individual is in the organization. So that will refer to the level or to the extent of job involvement or job engagement. So the higher the job involvement, the higher the productivity in the organization. So productivity is not just related to input into output. Productivity is related to in your other behaviors. How much you, if you are a middle level manager, how much you are able to motivate your subordinates, how much you are able to insert that kind of enthusiasm in your individual, in your employees. So all these things need to be understand. So that itself means job involvement. So productivity means whatever time you are spending in the organization is like leading towards productivity. Then the third kind of job attitude is organizational commitment. Organizational commitment means a high level of loyalty of employees towards their organization. A person identifies with the specific organization's aim and aspires to remain a member of that organization. So this does not imply to government organization, because there the job security is high, and almost the one who gets into government jobs gets out only with retirement. So commitment, definitely if it is there, it will reflect in that performance. But in private organization, organizational commitment is something which is very much required. And then there are certain aspects like how we can induce organizational commitment, what are the factors that can influence an individual employee's organizational commitment. That is something another we will discuss on another level. So employees with high commitment contribute their best almost with no turnover, absenteeism, and they are heartily proud of their organization. So basically, through this session, each individual can assess their own attitude. So by different kinds of attitude, by different components of attitude, by what kind of attitudes you possess, you can assess your own framework of attitude, and also you can push yourself towards changing your attitudes, because at the end it is not the other parties, whether the organization or your peers or your superiors, to whom your attitude is affecting. We need to understand that at the end, in long term, our attitude impacts maximum to our own life. So if you are having negative attitude towards anything, you need to think that with negative attitude, it will start hampering your own potentials, your own skills, and eventually leading to negativity in the organization. And then definitely there will come a day when organization will also say namaskar to you. So why we are studying attitude? So these are all under individual behavior. We need to focus on our own individual behaviors, which leads to the goodness or to the happiness for our own lives. So I am sure every one of you have gone through certain situations in life where you have achieved something, where you have performed, where through your attitudes you have changed a gloomy situation into an enthusiastic and excited situation, and you have made or you have helped people to really think the other way and work on it. And just imagine how happy you would have been on that day. So we need to understand that this is about individual behavior. So this is all in this session. But the rest we will continue in another sessions. Thank you so much.